Welcome for the final session, that is the end of the retreat, and we will, as the last session, we will have a question and answer session that will be started from here. As per the questions are there, we will go for question and answer session. To start with that, as we have conducted the tradition that I may give the translation of the morning, the afternoon Dhamma talk. That was the last in this series. Still it is based upon the same particular discourse, namely the Uraga Sutta. The last stanza, it is basically presenting again the 5 hindrances, Nissarana, and the translation goes, he who has tackled or really control the 5 hindrances and have no mind of kind of mental agitations, no internal doubts, and calm, such a person for such a person very easy to get rid of all the 10 sanyojanas, that means the hooks, the connections to the samsara. So, day before and yesterday we were talking about the dormant tendencies, namely the desire and the hatred, and there we can see how much they are working in the perverted ways. So therefore, as one meditator is advancing along this mindfulness, you find some kind of evolution of the defilement itself, and as the mindfulness becomes more and more steadfast, you have to expect all the kind of perverted ways of basically the desire and the hatred. And therefore, if you consider the desire as the first and foremost defilement, tanha or lobha, we know the Buddha has given 3 kinds of trainings to tackle them. The very first one is the restraint regarding the virtues, and there you take precepts, not to kill, not to steal, kind of thing. You, with your determination, you try to do away with this kind of misbehavior, that is we call transgression of kind, and that is also culturing the person, uplifting the person, and then if he is lucky, he will take it up this concentration training. There the desire appears karma chanda, that is it is as 5 hindrances, and there also you are not really tackling it, but you are rather suppressing it to a limited amount of time, as much as the concentration is powerful. Whenever the concentration is not there, again this the kamachanda, the desire can arise. But over there also you are really taking good control upon this desire. Only the disadvantage to 4 is that it is not permanent. When one is armed with, when one is endowed with these 2 kind of trainings, that means restraint regarding the virtues, restraint regarding the concentration, his mindfulness also fairly strong, and then yet another chance you have to meet with this desire, and there the Buddha explained how to face it directly and see the beginning, the middle and the end of the desire. That very clearly indicated in the Satipatthana Sutta, in the Dhammanupassana level. That means how to be mindful with the normal phenomena. And there he says, whenever the sensuous desire arises, one has to understand this is the way my mind, my stream of consciousness, how the sense desire sets it, how it's coming. And that one has to observe. And whenever it is working full-fledged, that's the middle of the sense desire, one has to understand, now this is the way when the sense desire is fully grown, when it is manifested in the stream of consciousness. And equally one has to see when it is ceasing, with the cessation of the sense desire. So they are not like restrainment in terms of virtues or restrainment regarding the concentration. Here the wisdom training, therefore you just let the desire to perform in this natural form and you directly observe them as to see the beginning, the middle and the end. So there only you can completely come to a conclusion to get rid of that with their own roots. Otherwise, in the concentration, even though as if you are cut off the tree, underneath the root system is there, again and again shooting can happen. But with the way the wisdom training happens, you are directly facing it, see the beginning, the middle and the end. And by that time, you must have few arms, few preparation as to very well prepared or steadfast mindfulness and certain amount of concentration and the perverted nature. You must have that clear understanding about the perverted nature, the camouflaging nature of the desire, and then only you can just face it. So when and where you are ready, go prepared to see, meet with this arising desire, the manifested or existing desire or ceasing desire, then only you can completely understand the characteristics of the desire. The characteristic wise, the desire is leading your attention from one to the other, from seeing objects, hearing objects, or seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and thinking. And seeing also different colors, different shapes. The changing is the one fertilizing this desire. Instead, if you are make the mind one-pointedness, that is the opposite of the desire. So therefore you must have a certain amount of taste about the one-pointed minds, and you have to understand a certain amount of how the mind, when it is going from one object to the other, searching for and craving for the varietal entertainment. So when these two are both, if you can just see as the phenomena, this is the mind which is jumping from one to the other like monkey, and this is the mind adhere to one-pointedness. Both of them you have to see in the same perspective. The desire is wrong and the concentration is correct. That is the wrong approach. You have to understand both of them in the same spirit. That is the way the wisdom arises. That is the way you can really take the control upon the sense desire. Exactly the hatred, vyapada, when the vyapada is there, no gladness, no rapture. So it is always self-destructive. So whenever the mind becomes glad, whenever the mind becomes rapturous, it is not self-destructive. So when the wisdom training happens, you are training in such a way, even if the mind is full of gladness or full of rapture, or it is entertaining that kind of a desire, both of them you have to understand that just passing clouds in the sky. The rapture is good, desire, the rapture is bad. If you are going to discriminate like that, a reaction arises, so you will succumb to the situation. So when the wisdom training happens, you give the equal weight to the rapture or the gladness as well as to the hatred. And when the sleepiness happens, the sleepiness means the mind, the agility, the adverting power is lost. So therefore mind becomes congealed, mind becomes condensed, and therefore spreadability out. And when mind is spreadable, adverting and it is activated. Both of these characters are just mental states. So wisdom training means you are not discriminating, you are not going to see them with the value judgment, you just understand this congealed mind, the swat and torpor is also mental state, and this adverting power, directing power, that is also mental state. Though they are contradiction of or opposites of each other, they are just mental states. And when the regretting about the past and excitement for the future happens, the opposite is the comfort, opposite is the pleasure. Whenever the mind is not in the present moment, in the pleasurable moment, it is either getting regret with association in the past or jumping future and getting excited, but they are just two sides of the same coin. The last one is the doubting mind and internal conflict, doubt. The other one is the investigating mind. So when the investigating mind happens, you usually consider it as a wholesome and beautiful and good. Whenever it is doubting, you consider it as a unwholesome and misleading. But when the wisdom training happens, both of them come into the same value. You can understand these are mental states. So in order to come up to this mental state, you have to see the beginning, the middle and the end of the sense desire, the beginning, the middle and the end of the anger, the beginning, the middle and the end of the sleepiness, the slimy mind, the beginning, the middle and the end of the past association and future anchoring, and the beginning, the middle and the end of the doubts. Equally like one-pointedness, equally like the gladness, equally like the agile mind, equally like the pleasurable mind, and equally like investigating mind. The moment you understand these are nothing but the opposite of each other, or two sides of the same coin, you can't see through them. As far as you have a desire for one set and the hatred for the other, oh, this is correct, this is wrong, this is wholesome, this is unwholesome, so much so our mind is reacting, our mind is colored by these things, so they can influence the mind. If you can have the equal, same way, or same approach to the both, then only you can master the situation. This is how you master, or you take the 5 hindrances under control. For that, you must understand these hindrances are nothing but thoughts. They become substantial, they become destructive when you are reacting to them. Otherwise, they are just like the positive sides or positive jhani factors. They also have the wrong, destructive part. They also have some flaws. Nirvana also have some flaws. So, the moment you understand both of them as just mental factors, then only you can say your mind is ready to take the vicissitudes of the life. As far as you have discrimination, you are succumb. Your mind is not mature enough. Your mind is not seasoned enough. So that is how our mind is colored by the different hindrances. So to go up to the level where that you can see the hindrances as just the mental aspect, you must develop, you must have training or controlling in virtues, concentration and the wisdom. The highest is see hindrances as hindrances, not as defilements. So this is the crest, is the highest thing in the meditation, in the path. So when you go further and further, advancing, rather you ultimately what is boiled down to the equanimity, to the balanced mind or equipoised, rather than faith, energy concentration, wisdom, or mindfulness. They are tools. Through these tools, what we are reaching is the climax of equanimity. So much so, you consider the sense desire equal with, in par with, one-pointed mind. So much so, you consider the hatred just like the gladness and rapture. You consider the sloth and torpor just like the adverting mind, a giant mind. Like all the opposites has to come in the equal level. This is very difficult to think with the rational mind, but that is the way you are being developed. Whenever they become equal to your value judgment, you become the master, they become slaves. As far as you have any discrimination, so much so, they will take the upper hand, our stream of consciousness succumb to the situation, we will be taken for a ride of the defilements or hindrances. So each and every hindrance, therefore, is nothing but a question paper, nothing but a challenge, and by developing your all the other trainings, you will one day confront it and see the beginning, the middle and the end of it, and that is the way you can master it. So therefore, the culmination of our practice is to see the opposites in the equipoised mind. So that is the ending of the particular sutta.
So may I ask a question with regards to seeing the beginning, middle, and end of things like it's easier to understand, but in sleep, when sleepiness comes, I can feel the beginning of it, and then I wake up. How do I see the middle of it? What is the middle, and how do I see that?
It says that if you are an alcoholic, better to give instruction before you take alcohol. After taking alcohol, no point of giving instructions. Likewise, once the sleepiness comes, sleepiness sets in, you already succumb, so therefore how can you see the characteristic of the sleepiness? So therefore anyone will think it is out of the subject, we can't think about it. But in the meditation, sleepiness or that nature happen in two ways. One thing is during the lethargic nature, lack of energy, sometimes you collapse. Sometimes, for example, I find to take the feelings, there are three kinds of feeling: pleasurable, painful and neutral. As far as the mind is associated with the pleasurable feeling and the painful feeling, mind is alert. But whenever it comes to the no pain, no pleasure, there is a kind of a lethargic nature sets in, boredom sets in, or fearfulness and loss sets in, and it is also something like sleepiness. Your mind do not know how to behave with the no pain, no pleasure. So therefore you get a distance and ultimately become disinterested. That is also your meditator do not understand whether it is sleepiness or it is we are associating the no pain, no pleasure. And whenever you are associating the in-breath and out-breath, mind is alert. Whenever it is associating the gap, you do not know how to experience. So then you do not know whether you are living there or you are dead or you are mindful or not, or you are sleepy or not. As far as it is very tiny, the gap, you can go through telling that you are mindful. Sometimes the gap becomes very long. And there you don't know where was the mind. And you don't know whether you are sleepy or awakened. So these both has to come under the light of mindfulness. When it is happening, at the beginning you succumb to the situation, all of a sudden you get awakened into the meditation and you don't know what happened for the last few minutes. But this is going to happen again and again. There you have to be prepared how the mind is going towards the sleepiness, disinterest, how it is going to the boredom. When it is happening, if you are very sharp, you can see it is going in a gradual way. Mind becomes disinterested slowly, and you do not note it, don't take interest in it, you just become slack. This is we call the beginning of the sleep. the setting in. And then all of a sudden you awaken, that's the end of it. In between you don't know. But you know you don't know. And it is a very good start. And then what you have to do is shedding the light into the don't know. That is, be aware of unknown. Be ready with the unknown. And that is the secret, that is the way, that is the key to the Nibbana. Earlier you think it as a trap. You consider it as something unbelievable, untrappable, unstudy. You can't study that. So, don't get disheartened. Let the mind fall into the sleep and go back again, sleep and sleep. And then each and every time you are sleeping, falling into that, you try to understand a gradual process of becoming slackened. And again you become all of a sudden awakening there. And what happened in between? You have a kind of a fear for that. You have a kind of an unfamiliarity for that. But if you try to love it, if you try to experience it, if you try to sympathize it, if you try to be positive with it, there's a kind of experience there. That is more close, more explaining the Nibbana rather than the sensation. So, telling that instead of thinking it is not my business, I can't do it, that means so much so you get a distance from that. By familiarizing how you fall into sleep, by familiarizing how you come into being, you develop one day some kind of virtue, one day I will tap it. You can approach in two ways. One thing is microwave. As far as you are in the sitting meditation, you feel this disinterest and coming back. But daily when you are going to sleep, that is also the macro level. You can take it as an exercise, how the mind falls into sleep, how the next day morning you wake up. These two also has to come under the light of mindfulness. And then you can reduce the unknown area with the known area where you go in or coming out. And that is how you have to be positive. You have to make a room in your mind. The fear of unknown is the one we are barring from the Nibbana. One day we have to open. One day we have to sympathize it and welcome it. And then your approach is, the sleepiness is not some negative. It is something, a treasure.
Similar to when you sleep, knowing you're asleep, knowing you're dreaming, you're actually, when the experience is happening, you're fully aware that it's happening.
That is called lucid dream. So it is rather awakening. It is not completely lethargic given up. There's a kind of a half living memory. That is called lucid dream. And ultimately your challenge is how to awakening into the dream. How to awakening into the dream is it's a very ancient subject, very ancient art. That is what Carlos Castaneda is always writing in his book, When the Red Indies. That is their art. That is what we call ignorance. That this ignoring is, it is coming built in. So now the Buddha is asking, don't throw that away. Take it as a subject, take it as an experiment, take it as a question paper, take it as a challenge, and if possible, try to awakening into the unknown, awakening into the dream, awakening into the sloth and thought. And then there's a kind of a coverage is there. At the beginning it is unexplorable, out of our consideration line. And slowly you can reduce it. And therefore when and where this drowsiness is going to happen, you have to have a special kind of mindfulness, be prepared, guard, and this is exactly with the doubts, this is exactly with the past thoughts, this is exactly with the future excitement, because all of them are taking you for a ride. Even the sense desire. Even the hatred. Only thing is we consider them as enemies. We consider them as none of our business. We never consider this is a phenomenon. We never consider it is realistic. We think it is something to get rid of. So much so we are getting a distance. So therefore, training regarding the virtues, And concentration virtues are not really tackling with the enemy. It is, you are making yourself guard and all the kinds of, but all of them are escapes. This is the point, you directly face with the sense desire, directly face with the hate, directly face with the sleepiness, sloth and torpor, directly do with the past association and the future, directly do with the doubts. Because the doubt is almost similar with the inquiry mind. We appreciate inquiry mind, we get rid of doubt. So much so we are discriminating. So when the equanimity happens, equipoised mind happens, when your mind is in the full spirit, the peak, you can say this is also a realistic thing happen under your very nose. That is the doubt. And the inquiry mind also exactly the same way, only the thing is our attitude. But only by attitude, by philosophizing, you can't go there. You have to have virtues, you have to have the concentration, you have to understand the perverted nature. With it, all the three arms only, you can just face the desire as desire. Concentration as concentration. Hatred as hatred. The gladness as gladness. So everything appears. There you are no more a human. Because human mind is always discriminating. So you have to surpass. You have to see through the hatred, so as to see through the gladness. So they are just clouds. So this is the peak, this is the highest training. When you go there, what happens is, you become dumb-bound. Dumb-bound because no one will believe. Because spiritual people always say, we are always trying to get rid of sense desire and to gain the concentration. But in the wisdom training, you try to see both of them in the same dining table, same status. Even this consideration is radical. Even this consideration is something never we thought of. But the Buddha is in the same tone. He is, as and when the sense desire arises, we understand this is the sense arising of the sense desire. As and when the sense desire is functioning in the full manifestation, understand this is the sense desire. When it is ceasing, understand this as the cessation. But he never thinks it is malice, it is defilement. Because you are prepared, you are immune, ready, so at that time it is no more a defilement. It is a subject matter. So that is how we go through this rational mind, go through this language, go through this our past value judgments, see through. So therefore it is inspiring. Putting you into a high caliber challenge. And why not dash through life? You will make a lion. You make a lion like mine. Dash. Of course you will fail. But even this challenge is something tonic, something electric, something dashing through. That is the final talk today.
For sleepiness, to look at life, there are about 5 different things of sleepiness.
Yes. Sleepiness as a obsession. Sleepiness as a Nissarana.
She's asking about the antidotes.
The antidote given as Vitakka. Vitakka is applied mind. Applied mind is agility. Applied mind is the waking up. Applied mind is awakening you. So you just not in, out, marching. And then sleepiness won't come. But as this is a samatha technique. This is a samatha technique. If you, sleepiness comes and wasting time, if you wish to instead to make mind more agile, make mind more spreadable, you note it in, out, and after a while you understand that you can suppress it, but you can understand the sleepiness. For that you have to be prepared when the mind becomes slowly lethargic, when the mind becomes slowly slimy, and then you understand this is nature. You are not going to get rid of the desire, sleepiness, you understand the natural characters, its manifestations. So, when you are about to see how he sets in without the grudge, without malice, without considering as a bad, yet another kind of approach to the sleepiness, very difficult to justify.
Light.
And that is Aloka Sanya.
Yes.
Aloka Sanya also just like noting mind. That means you are trying to getting rid of desire, sleepiness. But in the Dhammanupassana, Buddha never asks us to get rid of. He asks us to, when and where the sleepiness happens, use this as a question paper. Use this as a challenge to see the beginning, the middle and the end of sleepiness. His question is how to see the middle.
I think that, again, still have to getting rid of sleepiness. So, no, my question was about sleepiness that I fall asleep. And you were saying, be aware of it in the beginning, be aware, don't be afraid of it, don't go into it. And I think people are still caught up in the idea, falling asleep by falling is bad. How do I get away? And so people say, look at light, get up, jump around.
I mean that each and every Nissarana, I mean not the Nissarana, we say desire, it has a virtue kind of a technique, concentration kind of technique, wisdom kind of technique. These are evolution of techniques. In the virtue level, you take a vow, I will not kill, I will not have a desire, and it's a social taboo, so you keep it up. But still you do not know what is the desire, how it comes and goes. But in the concentration, instead of the desire, you develop the concentrated mind, one-pointed in a wholesome object, and there also you go there and make yourself inside the bunker, never the desire to come. But in the wisdom, with these two arms, that has to be very heavily stressed. With this arm and understanding the perverted mind and the perverted nature of the desire, you let the desire to come. So that is unhuman. So when someone is practicing, anyone will come and say, you are doing wrong, don't do it, because this is not Dhamma, this is something going against the rules and kind of thing. But Buddha says, you will never get rid of this desire, unless otherwise you can have a green tea with the desire. Come and sit and write to have a cup of tea. Even with the desire, because you know you are immune now. You know you have virtues. You know sometimes you can get rid of also. Under such circumstances, give him a chance. That is the day you can understand the nature of the one-pointedness, nature of the desire. So this is a kind of a challenge only for the immune people, only for lions, only for people ready to dash. Up to that point, you have to develop virtues, you have to develop concentration, you have to knock here and there and get smashed and damaged and kind of thing. One day. Please give you advice, how can we meditators maintain this spark that has been kindled by this wonderful retreat? Any suggestions? It's like chance. Come no go Chicago. If it comes, otherwise go. We have no special desire for this retreat, we have no special desire for this spark. This spark also came out of blue, out of accident, so it may come again. So, we have no any. So this spark is ever inspiring, rather than it is making a doubt, how can I get it tomorrow, will it become tomorrow? This is not the way to see. It happened, the potential is there to happen for the next time also, so that you have to find your own ways and means. Don't expect someone come and bless you, or bless you, or tell you this and that, so much so you are a slave. You have to understand everything is within. It happened once, so that's a chance to happen again. So then I will ask you all, how did you maintain this path for a long time? Please tell me. Please teach me that. So that's also the English questions are concerned. So we are going to go to the English media. No, that is just an appreciation.
I'm going to stay until
Welcome.